individual, right? And this is kind of a good lead into, well, how do I know I'm deficient? What if I have too much copper or too much iodine or too much boron? I know a lot of people are getting like HTMA tests, hair tissue mineral analysis, and you have the full Monty iron panel. And I I hear that these aren't full pictures, right? They're just kind of like snapshots, and they're not the whole picture. It's kind of hard to get a accurate breakdown of your mineral status, isn't it?
It is. So in my book, I've quoted studies where they have shown that, well, so copper in the blood, copper blood testing, of course, is going to be far more reliable than in the hair, I think, first of all. Very little copper comes out in the hair. They can accurately measure amount of copper in the blood, but just because a person's copper in the blood is high does not mean that a person is actually high in copper, because in pregnancy, the amount of copper in the blood will double. So it goes up 100%. And that's because baby needs copper to grow and thrive. So in fact, babies have 5 to 10 times more copper per pound in their bodies than adults do. And they go through enormous fast growth, and that's one of the things copper does. It's important for growth, and it's important for the growth of nerves, and baby's brain is developing. So, copper deficient babies, they don't thrive. In copper deficient moms, you've got more miscarriages. So if copper is doubled in the blood in pregnancy, okay, and for growth, you can't just say copper in the blood being high is therefore evidence of toxicity, because if I were to be a copper toxic advocate, I would have to say nonsense stuff like, well, since all babies are born copper toxic, this is why they can't speak. It makes no sense, okay? I mean, babies have 5 to 10 times more copper. It's because they learn languages faster than we do. Let's be honest, right? I mean, babies are smart. And look, if I had to take more than 10 milligrams of copper in order to feel right, I searched the safety diligently. And I know that copper toxicity starts at 20,000 milligrams. So unless you're going around and eating about 20 pounds of liver every single day, then you're probably not copper toxic. In fact, you couldn't get copper toxic by eating the #1 most copper heavy food. If that's all you ate, you still wouldn't be copper toxic. So therefore, anybody who thinks they're copper toxic has simply bought into the lies of the hair tissue mineral analysis people who preach that. And I understand where it comes from, and I can kind of say that where the evidence comes from, and that's, and I went over and refuted a few of those. But another is that most people get nauseated on copper at 3 to 4 milligrams. So people look at the nausea as proof of copper toxicity, and it's not proof of copper toxicity, because when we take copper, and if it's binding with fluoride, which it does, this is how copper enters our drinking water through fluoridated water. Fluoride binds to copper. So when fluoride water runs through copper pipes, it brings the copper along. So that as a source of copper gives rise to many myths like, oh, copper 1 is toxic, or copper 2 is toxic, or whatever. Or metallic copper is toxic. But if you go and you look up colloidal copper or ionic copper and you just read the reviews on Amazon, people rave about the stuff because it's great. Metallic copper is not dangerous. It's the fluoride that is dangerous. And so if most people have 2,600 milligrams of fluoride in their body, and then they put in 3 milligrams of copper thinking they're going to get healthy, excuse me, you've barely begun to make a dent of detoxing fluoride. And as fluoride rushes to the stomach within 10 minutes to bind to the copper, you're going to have fluoride in your stomach. You know what causes nausea? Fluoride causes nausea. So it's not necessarily evidence of copper toxicity just because you're getting a little bit of nausea at the beginning stages of fluoride detox. I had to go through fluoride detox when I first started boron. I had to go through fluoride detox when I first started iodine, because I all detox fluoride a little bit differently. They all have a little bit different affinity for holding on to it and can carry it further or lesser in the body before it lets go of it and stuff like that. So it takes an enormous amount of diligent effort to take a lot of iodine, a lot of boron, and a lot of copper to begin to detox the horrors of fluoride and all that it's doing in us.
That was awesome.